You are not the only thing standing between this and the universe.
Comic books are art in hundreds of ways. But perhaps the most undervalued of those ways, particularly in superhero comics, is their ability to make you belly laugh while some wildly tragic things are unfolding. Sure, there are sad comic books, and serious comic books, and somber comic books, and the same can be said for comic book films. But if you love that first kind that I mentioned in the same way that I do, I suspect you're going to have a grand time with the Marvels.
I can't. Can you?
I got it.
What an absolute joy DaCosta's The Marvels is. It's the kind of film that leaves you grinning well after the credits roll. It's made up of heart and soul and spirit and all of the piss and vinegar that you'd expect from a story featuring 3 stellar leading ladies.
I'm very happy for you. Where's our daughter?
Yes, where is Kamala?
Who's Kamala?
Captain Marvel is more human than the franchise has ever allowed her to be before this point. Monica Rambeau is as bright and bold as ever. And, as expected, Ms. Marvel absolutely steals the show.
I could totally show you.
Perhaps what's most refreshing here is that where Captain Marvel, despite the film's merits, felt like a living, breathing ad for military recruitment, no, really, there were literal Air Force ads. The Marvels is the antithesis of that. In fact, the film's primary conflict is centered on Carol Danvers' wartime mistakes and the fallout that followed. Our villain, Dar-Benn, is a survivor of the Kree Civil War that followed Captain Marvel's destruction of the AI dubbed as the Supreme Intelligence that ruled over her kind. The Kree planet Hala is dying as a result, and Dar-Benn will stop at nothing to save it and her people. While she's certainly a sympathetic villain, Dar-Benn is unfortunately one of the weakest parts of the film. Marvel struggled with underdeveloped baddies in Phase 1, and it continues to struggle with underdeveloped baddies in Phase 5. She's simply not given a whole lot to do besides serving as the reason that Carol, Monica, and Kamala are together. Also, many of the Kree lackeys look pretty cool thanks to makeup and costume design, but her right-hand man is just some dude with a man bun. It's weird. As Carol reckons with her mistakes, she is also given the opportunity to be a person. But don't take that to mean that this is the Captain Marvel show. Despite the shift in the late-stage trailers for the film, the Marvels very much centers on all 3 of its leads. Each member of the ensemble is given a full character arc, with their closing moments giving them the opportunity to find closure, peace, or a way forward. For this chapter, at least. That's noteworthy not just because the writers had the tall task of cramming 3 complete character arcs into the MCU's shortest movie yet, but because the Marvels matters a great deal to the franchise as a whole.
I like this one.
Both the final moments of the film and the post-credit scenes set up very consequential happenings in both this universe and beyond, and it leaves you just as it should, excitedly wondering where this could all go next. Maybe it'll be some kind of resolution for the Skrulls, because watching this species get beaten down has gotten kinda tired. They cannot catch a break, and neither Carol Danvers or Nick Fury is doing a damn thing about it. In that same vein, there may have been a version of this movie that tied to Secret Invasion, but it's not the one coming to a theater near you. There is connective tissue to other MCU shows besides Ms. Marvel, but you're gonna have a hard time guessing which, and that's a compliment. While it doesn't make sense that Fury hasn't been smacked by every Skrull he's ever come across, the fact still remains that he is at his absolute best alongside Carol Danvers. And the same can now be said for Monica and Kamala, as he acts as a mentor to the former and the greatest goal to the other. He spends much of his time with Kamala's family in the Marvels, which ends up being one of those pairings that you'd never expect, but are delighted by all the same. The Marvel's greatest strength is most certainly its ensemble, but the comedy is a close second. It's not a story that you'd expect to be hilarious, but it is brimming with laughs from start to finish. It evokes the silliness of DC's Legends of Tomorrow more than once.
The only way for us to leave is for us to beat this team of alien bowlers. Nice and smooth. Okay.
And even goes slapstick a few times early on, all of which play quite well and never at the expense of the film's more somber moments. The Marvels simply understands that many of the things that unfold in superhero stories, particularly this one, are deeply silly, or weird, or uncomfortable, and it has no interest in self-seriousness in the face of that silliness and discomfort. Sometimes, the answer is to simply stop running from the flirkin'. Speaking of Flurkin, the VFX here look quite solid. It's amazing what can be done when you give your visual effects teams time to cook, which is exactly what happened. Originally, The Marvels was meant to release when Ant-Man and the Wasp Quantumania had, giving the teams behind this film more runway, and the Quantumania team, well, we all saw what happened there. The Marvels does have a couple of less than stellar frames, but on the whole, it's a vast improvement to the recent MCU fare.
You can stand tall without standing alone.
DaCosta delivered us a film with no bloat, tons of heart, and endless laughs. You can see bits and pieces of her style sprinkled throughout the film, even if there are moments when it's evident that the Marvel machine took over. If we're very lucky, maybe we'll see her return for future projects. But in the meantime, we can say for sure that this isn't the end of Carol, Monica, or Kamala's stories, and the Marvels will leave you wanting more of them immediately.
There's a different reality leading into ours.
The Marvels is a triumph. The film's dimension can be seen not just through its characters, but through its narrative as it explores the complications of the fallout of war, the difficulty of being a human when you're perceived as a monolith, and the hilarious and complicated virtues of family. DaCosta's MCU debut will have you asking when she and her leading ladies are coming back immediately after the credits roll. It's a pity that the villain isn't given much to do though. For more on the Marvels, check out our story so far, and for everything else, stick with IGN.
Higher.
Further. Faster.